Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of the eNews cycle for July of 2023. If you're new to my channel, this is my monthly recap of any prior news or any news stories that happened in the prior month, where we kind of go over any of the headline news or any of the new releases. July was a hot month, so hopefully you had some time to get in some rides and you weren't burnt immediately to a crisp. We had a ton of new e-bike releases and some news for July, so I won't waste any more time, so we can jump right into that. I wanted to first start off with a feel-good story out of Lectric and MrBeast. Lectric announced that they were giving away 1,000 e-bikes away to needy people. Lectric is best known for their value folding e-bikes, and YouTuber MrBeast makes videos where he does contests and charity events where he gives away big lavish prizes or cash to people. He's kind of like the millennial version of Egg McMahon.
You are correct, sir.
MrBeast released a video showing that they were giving away some e-bikes to those in need in Africa who deliver water to people in the area. They give away some of those cargo e-bikes that Lectric has, the Expedition. Really good feel-good story. I'm glad to see that they're doing it. Kind of crazy that Lectric was giving away 1,000 e-bikes in conjunction with this team up with MrBeast. If you go on their website, I'll have a link in the description for Lectric's contest page where you can sign up for it. I believe you have to submit a video and tell them why exactly you would need one of these 1,000 e-bikes. I thought they were going to be for only for those in Africa, but it looks like it's just for anybody in the continental US, since that's the area that Lectric ships to anyway, which kind of makes sense. If you feel that you're worthy, their words, not mine, and you're in need of an e-bike that you feel that an e-bike will change your life for good and provide some kind of benefit for you, you can go on there and sign up and submit yourself, and they might select you. They're giving away e-bikes from now until the end of the year. It's hard to imagine, since 1,000 e-bikes is more inventory than most e-bike manufacturers have on hand in general. So it's crazy that Lectric is just giving that away. Even more evidence that Lectric may be the biggest e-bike manufacturer in North America right now. Unsettling rad, but that's just speculation though. Speaking of which, yet again more bad news out of Radpowerbikes. It looks like they are closing down their European and United Kingdom organizations. On July 10th, Rad officially announced that they would be shutting down their European and United Kingdom divisions at the end of 2023. This is not surprising considering the way that things have been going for Rad as of late. Rad is one of the major e-bike players in North America and Canada. However, in Europe, it's a whole different ballgame. Europeans generally want light, efficient e-bikes that are able to be pedaled, and the heavier fat tire e-bikes that are popular in the US just don't fly over there, especially since they're limited to a mere 250 watts of power. Rad is officially closing their doors down at the end of the year, but I believe they're probably going to outsource their support and their customer service and parts and everything like that to a third party after that. So until the end of the 2-year warranty for the last customers that they have over there. After the 2-year warranty expires, it's good luck trying to get any kind of support or anything like that, I imagine, which I hear is actually kind of hard to do in the first place. On a brighter note though, Rad recently released a new edition or special edition of their Rad City 5 Plus e-bike. Doesn't look like a ton has physically changed with this new version of the Rad City. The most obvious change is the paint job. Previously, the 5 Plus was only available in gray or white. However, it looks like this SE, the special edition, will come out with a bright orange color. They call it Tiger Orange. Rad released a couple e-bikes recently with a special light reflective paint, but it doesn't specify that this orange paint is the same kind of ultra visible paint, so I assume it's not. Other updates to it, they're not really forthcoming about the other changes to it, but it looks like they changed the handlebars. They're not as swept back as the previous versions of the Rad City, and the stem to hold handlebars is rigid. It's not adjustable like the old versions were. As far as the stem is concerned, it's actually kind of a step backwards, so I'm not sure why they switched that out. I assume it's a supply chain issue or a cost-cutting step. I'm hoping they made some other changes that they aren't advertising, such as correcting the issues with their batteries. I see on Reddit and online all the time where they're kind of blowing fuses and getting bricked. It's kind of a common issue. As far as the special edition goes, you can pre-order now for $19.99. It's showing an estimated ship date around the end of August. If you're looking for a city commuter style e-bike, there's another option for you, especially if you like the black and orange options. It's another one to consider, so check it out. And besides Rad EU closing down, there was more closures for the e-bike market. You probably heard by now, but Vanmoof looks like they were closing their doors. They're purveyors of highly designed, technology-packed e-bikes. They announced in mid-July that they were shutting down all sales on their site just so they could catch up with the backlog of sales that they had. But because of the financial issues that they had last year, many immediately speculated that there was other reasons contributing to this shutdown, mainly that they're really hurting for revenue to operate. A few days after Vanmoof ceased sales on their site, a Dutch media site reports that they confirmed that the rumors were true and Vanmoof was actually making a last-ditch effort to avoid bankruptcy. A few days after that, there was internal leaks saying that the company emailed all their employees letting them know that unfortunately they were going to file for bankruptcy. Needless to say, this is disappointing news, especially if you happen to be a Vanmoof owner. On a larger scale, this kind of sparked a debate concerning app-integrated or software-dependent e-bikes or vehicles in general, since Vanmoof relies on a phone app to supply a special code in order to unlock and use their bikes. I've heard that workarounds or hacks were already being released to circumvent this security, so hopefully any owners out there won't be affected too much by it. But regardless, it's sad to see that Vanmoof fall. I would personally suggest brushing up on your e-bike mechanic skills, since it doesn't seem like that company's going to be around there to help you out much more. One e-bike news story that's getting a lot of attention for July was the California legislation that was potential legislation. The main aspect of this was licensing, but it also set some rules regarding minors riding e-bikes as far as the classifications go. This would require anyone without a valid standard driver's license to take an online written test. And have a state-issued identification card for anybody riding an e-bike. It also goes to limit e-bike usage for minors, like I said, indicating that anyone under the age of 16 would not be allowed to ride a Class 3 e-bike, as well as anyone under the age of 12 wouldn't be able to operate an e-bike, any e-bike in general, and regardless of the classification whatsoever. There's also stipulations for helmet usage for Class 3 e-bikes. In my opinion, this bill has merits, but it's not a good idea. It should be a given that if you're riding an e-bike or a bike on the road in general, you should know the rules of that road, but there are far too many problems with this bill for me to think it's a good idea. For one, I'm confused as to why they're targeting e-bikes in general versus regular pedal bicycles. Last time I checked, there were far more accidents involving pedal bicycles versus electric ones. If your goal is safety, then why target e-bike riders? If you want to make the road safer for everyone, put more regulations on cars, since they're the ones that are killing people. One of the best things about e-bikes as an alternate form of transportation over cars is that there are no hidden fees of owning and operating one. So other than the relatively low cost of upkeep, there's no required insurance or registration like you get with a car. I'm assuming that there will be some sort of cost for registering, even if it's a nominal fee for the initial startup or to renew every year or a couple years. It's going to be another cost that you're going to have to associate with your bike. Something that was free before now costs money. If this is passed in a law, it would essentially kill the e-bike market for children as well, such as the new released Super 73 K1D, kind of a balance e-bike. In California, e-bikes don't necessarily have to have pedals to be classified as an e-bike, so the K1D would still fall under the Class 2 e-bike rules, 750 watt motor and a throttle. And with Super 73 being a California-based company, I imagine this bill would have them kind of worried about that. To be honest with you, the bill is poorly written. It doesn't make mention of ages besides minors, but everybody says that this should be targeting adults as well. So if you're an adult, don't have a driver's license, you would be required to get an e-bike license regardless. The worst part of this bill is that it actually looks like it criminalizes e-bike usage for minors. If you're under the age of 12 and ride an e-bike, it would actually be considered a crime. Not just an infraction or anything like that, actual crime. Also, if you're under the age of 16 and you ride a Class 3 e-bike, that would also be considered a crime as well. I think it goes without saying that I'm definitely against labeling a child a criminal just for jumping on an e-bike and riding it. When I first heard that they were going to pass a law for e-bike licensing, I thought they were going to maybe target like Super 73, higher speed, like Onyx e-bikes, or even like Surons or Teleria e-bikes, since those are kind of the ones that get the most attention for being dangerous. They don't fall within the Class 1, 2, or 3 classification, and so they're kind of like an illegal gray area in most of the country. I've seen reports of law enforcement starting to crack down on Suron style e-bikes, and people are getting tickets or even getting their bikes impounded. Cops pull them over for riding an electric motorcycle that is not registered with a DMV, but then when they go to the DMV to try to register it, it doesn't have a VIN number or anything like that to be able to register it, so it's actually impossible. I feel like the lawmakers' efforts would be best suited to target that kind of problem instead of trying to target just all e-bikes in general. It seems like they're just targeting e-bikes just because that's the new hotness kind of thing. I'll leave a link in the description of the full bill that you can see on there. It's not very long. Most of it's redacted, or unrelated to e-bikes. And so let me know what you guys think, if you're for this, if you're against it, or if you think that there should be other stipulations involved to this other than just a flat out license for everybody. Let me know down in the comments. I was hoping for a lot of e-bike releases for this month, since June didn't have a ton going on for it. And I guess I got my wish, because there's a ton of e-bikes that came out in July. Can't go through all of them, but these are the ones that kind of stood out to me. First, Velotric. Last month I went over the new Thunder 1 e-bike that they released, or the T1 as I think they're calling it now. I mentioned in that review that I was probably speculating that they would come out with a cargo e-bike or utility e-bike, and it looks like they came out with both. They released a new utility e-bike named the Go 1 and a cargo e-bike called the Packer 1. Sounds like somebody at Velotric is a Green Bay fan. First, the Go 1, which looks to be Velotric's introduction to the utility e-bike market, and for the price, the stats are pretty good. The motor is only 500 watts, but it peaks up at 900 watts. The battery is 48 volt, 14.4 amp hours, or 691 watt hours. 20 by 3 inch tires, a 7-speed Shimano drivetrain, just a monochrome LCD display. It comes with hydraulic suspension fork and a rigid rear. It comes with 4 piston hydraulic disc brakes. It comes with a cadence sensor. The cargo capacity is 440 pounds, 120 pounds on the back. For comparison purposes, I put up a matchup to the Rad Runner 2, but for the most part, it doesn't really match up. The Rad Runner 2 is in kind of in dire need of a product refresh. The price is around the same. It's a little bit cheaper for the Rad Runner 2, but as far as everything else goes, that's about the same size battery, tires, but no hydraulic brakes on the Rad Runner 2. Between the two of them, I'd definitely go with the Velotric. If you're in the market for a new utility e-bike, then that might be a one for you. The second e-bike that Velotric came out with was their utility, the Packer 1. The bike's your typical elongated rear cargo style e-bike. It looked to me a lot like the Venton Abound, so the stats kind of match up with their motor. On the Packer 1 is 750 watt nominal, 1200 watt peak, 48 volt, 14.4 amp hour, so the same battery as the Go 1. The tires on there are two different sizes, the 26 inch on the front and 20 inch on the back. 8-speed Shimano drivetrain, black and white LCD screen on there. Hydraulic suspension fork, rigid rear, and 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes. Same cadence sensor. Cargo capacity 440 pounds, but the rear rack has 176 pounds cargo capacity on that one. Interesting that they went with the mullet style tire system, but it kind of makes sense. You want a larger wheel in the front just so you can have better handling. These cargo style e-bikes are kind of bad at handling, so that's good. And in the rear, you kind of want more of a lower center of gravity, so the smaller wheel's a lot better back there. Turning can be a real issue for cargo style e-bikes, so I can imagine that's probably why they went with that. This looks like it could be in the running for one of the best cargo e-bikes currently on the market. Now check them out if you're interested. I'll have the link in the description. Belgian e-bike manufacturer Cowboy came out with their new e-bike called the Cruiser. The Cowboy Cruiser is available in both a high step and a step-through frame option. Many people have pointed out that the Cowboy model looks a lot like the Vanmoof, highly designed, a lot of tech built into it. The stats on them are, of course, European standards: 250 watt motor, 36 volt, 9.8 amp hour battery, a top speed of 20 miles per hour in the US, hydraulic brakes, it has a carbon belt drive on it, and like I said, has a lot of app functionality built into it: a digital keyless lock, crash detection, theft protection, GPS locator. A few things that stood out to me were strange design choices. Weird kind of that the taillight position on the step through was positioned kind of right behind the fender. So I don't know if from the rear if that gets obstructed in any way or anything like that, but it seems like that might be a problem. But who knows? Another thing that was kind of weird is that this bike doesn't have a display built into it, which is kind of in line with their minimalistic design choice. But in order to get mileage, speed, or like a battery level, you have to sync a smartphone and dock it to the handlebars as kind of like a surrogate display. That just kind of seems weird to me. If you don't have your phone on you, or if you don't want to use it locked onto your bike, then you just don't know how fast you're going or how much range you have, that sort of thing. The price tag isn't too bad for this. It has a base price of $34.90, and so with these bikes that are kind of highly designed, a lot of technology built into them, they're kind of expensive. So that one's not too bad, considering how much you can pay for these type of e-bikes these days. So check them out if you're looking for something that, since Vanmoof is out of business, this might be what you're looking for. Another new e-bike release for July on the opposite side of the spectrum from the Cowboy is the Rave Bullet GTX. Rave was kind enough to send me the base model Bullet a few months ago, so I tried that one out. They had an upgrade version of the GT that was released at the same time as the regular Bullet, but it looks like the GTX is now dropping with even more power and speed. The GTX is coming with a 1000 watt nominal, 1500 watt peak motor that is capable of top speed of up to 35 miles per hour. The voltage on this one has been upped to 52 volts versus the GT's 48 volts. With the upgraded speed, I figured that they'd be needing better brakes, so it looks like the GTX is coming with the 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes with 180 millimeter rotors. The rear suspension has been upgraded as well, and so it's a little bit higher quality component there. The regular price of the GTX was $28.99, but for a limited time they had a sale going on for $23.99. If you want to apply my discount code of ELECTRICRIDES, you can get an extra $100 off there too. Link in the description, or just use that code. If you're interested in picking one up, that's a hell of a deal, and this looks like a great bike too. For July, Admotor released a new e-bike, folding e-bike, the Fold10 M160. The M160 comes in 5 different color options, bright, and I like the colors that they went with, especially with the tan walled tires that they come with stock. The M160 shares much of the same look as the Vent and Cinch, kind of a very streamlined folding e-bike style. It comes with a rear rack included, standard accessories such as like fender, lighting, and BMX style handlebars. I'm glad they didn't go with the giraffe style e-bike handlebars that most folding e-bikes come with these days, so I'm glad that they went with the BMX ones. The components: 750 watt motor, 1200 watt peak, 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery, 20 miles per hour top speed, just a king meter, kind of an old style LCD technology display there, 20 by 4 inch tan walled tires, hydraulic disc brakes, 7-speed Shimano drivetrain, comes with a torque sensor. It weighs in at 81.6 pounds, so a little bit heavy there. Payload of 280 pounds or 55 pounds on the rear rack. If you match this up to this Vent and Cinch, which like I said looks a lot like it, matches up pretty evenly. Battery's bigger on the Admotor, the motor wattages peaks out more on the Admotor. The Cinch comes with a color display, which is kind of nice. Same tires, same kind of components there. Unfortunately, the Cinch still comes with mechanical disc brakes versus the hydraulic disc brakes that you'll get on the Admotor. Same torque sensor. The Cinch is lighter, comes in at 68 pounds versus almost 82 pounds for the Admotor. Since these are folding bikes, you might want to take the weight into consideration there. The Admotor lists a regular price of $2,700, which is crazy expensive for what you're getting. I think it might be one of those inflating the regular price so that the sale price looks extra good. Right now it's priced at $18.99, which is probably more in line for what it should be. The Cinch 2 is $17.99, so check it out and see if you want to go with that one over the Cinch or compare the two of them. Another higher end e-bike that came out in July was called the Bandit XTrail Pro. Higher spec e-bike that isn't exactly street legal. This new Bandit is kind of a moped style e-bike with the long bench seat, step through frame, and BMX handlebars. It looks a lot like the juiced Hyper Scorpion, especially with the mag wheels. The XTrail Pro has a crazy amount of potential speed when it comes with the front and rear hub motors, as well as the dual battery system. It looks like this bike may be capable of 42 miles per hour with pedaling, 38 miles per hour with only throttle. The company calls this the world's fastest street legal e-bike, which is I guess true if they ship the bike with class 2 or class 3 mode, but if you're buying this bike, nobody's going to keep it in class 3 mode. They're going to definitely bump that up. Regular price is $26.99. It looks like it was on sale for $19.99. I'm not sure if that's still going. Check that out. 750 watt front motor and 1000 watt rear hub motor. They didn't list the peak wattages on there, but I imagine they're probably going to be more. It comes with 2 batteries, 48 volt 20 amp hour battery on the front, and then a 48 volt 15 amp hour battery for a total of 1680 watt hours. 20 by 4 inch tires, 7-speed Shimano drivetrain. It's got front and rear suspension on there. It comes with 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes, a cadence sensor. It's a little hefty as far as the weight goes, 121 pounds, so it's not a light bike. Keep that in mind. Looks like you can pre-order now, and then shipment starts in September. Now for an e-bike that won't get you impounded like that Bandit would. TeknoAXE Ego T was announced, which appears to be another highly designed, refined kind of looking e-bike for city streets. The company recently released the Ego X a few months ago, which is very similar spec-wise. The Ego T looks to be a class 1 only, 20 miles per hour, and pedal assist only, no throttle that I can see on there. Regular priced as $26.99, but it looks like it was on sale for $25.99. A 250 watt mid-drive motor, 36 volt, 14 amp hours, pretty big for the capacity on there. Comes with a Gates carbon belt drive, the shifting hub, Suntour lockout fork with rigid rear, hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor, 68 pounds. Considering the specs and the quality of the components, the price isn't too bad on there. I'd probably go with this one over the Cowboy Cruiser that we spoke about earlier. Be a nice sleeper e-bike as well. There's a few other releases that I couldn't get to just because of times, but if you'd like me to go over them, just leave a comment down below. Let me know that if I missed anything. Let me know if any kind of new releases that you're looking forward to. Let me know down in the comments. But other than that, I thank you for watching. Please leave a like and leave a comment. Other than that, I thank you for watching and hope that you stay safe out there and keep riding.